I'm coming here and speaking at a time when Tibet is facing one of the most challenging moments in its history, both personally in every individual's life and also for the country, for the people, which is facing so much of physical atrocities. Maybe it's for their spiritual practice is good, that they are being challenged in the most unique way, because without that challenge, perhaps Buddhism is not sharpened to this kind of a practice. Perhaps it's good. But at the same time, when the onslaught is that of a 1.3 billion Chinese and the consumerist market economy coming into Tibet, where our population is only 6 million, and when the overwhelmized modern economy coming into Tibet, that too threatened by huge presence of Chinese military, police and the law, and then the Chinese population getting settled in Tibet, it becomes sometimes almost a challenge that we may be losing in many different ways. So therefore, this is a challenge, of course, we have to fight, and we have been up until today in a very inspiring moment that we have not only lived and survived, but have been able to bring it forward as the new generation are born, grow up, and take the leadership and the responsibility in the struggle, both in Tibet and in exile. And today, as we see the overwhelming presence of Chinese military, police, intelligence, the CCTVs, the streets, and the informers in your family and your work, among your friends, you can't breathe. You are smothered. Every moment you feel you are being watched, and you may be taken away and be lost forever. That your son may be taken out of your house in the middle of the night and you would not know what would happen to him. Or your daughter may not return home one evening. Or you may just feel that there is a protest, a small protest gathering outside, and you may just get caught. Even to the most innocent, apolitical people, such things may happen. And if you come out into the street and protest, if you take part in a non-violent public gathering only demanding return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Tibet, demanding freedom for Tibet, in such gatherings, the security forces fire in the public gathering, leaving many people dead, wounded, and those who are wounded with bullets in the chest fear to go to government hospitals because they may be lost forever. So they are nursed, treated at public homes, people's homes, monasteries. This is a time that is truly testing the power of Tibetan's spiritual practice. Just 2 days back, 18-year-old nun, a Buddhist nun, set herself on fire. And before she could do anything or anybody could save her, she was packed up together by Chinese security forces, and at the moment we do not know where she is or what has happened to her. And this is the 22nd case of self-immolations. A very frustrating moment is that when everybody knows that Tibet was an independent country, that it's been invaded and brutally occupied by China. And not only that, when everybody in the world knows that such brutality is continuing in Tibet, people continue to live their own lives, and through and justice and human rights just does not matter for other people, as long as people could make their living in so many different other countries. And that's really, really frustrating. I've learned in my 18 years of activism that truth and justice and non-violence and all these beautiful words are meant only for conferences and Dharma centers. It's just nice to say those things, and it just remains that. What really matters is how you fight. If we, the Tibetan people, fight, if we are able to live, survive, that's it. Nobody is going to champion your cause. What matters to others is if they could get a little bit of you. If they could get a little bit of the Dalai Lama's smile and a little bit of Dharma practice. I've found this, it's a very, very bitter experience that most countries, whether it's United States or Australia or Canada or America or many of these countries, they have huge trade relationships with China, and therefore they do not want to harm their causes in any way. The truth and justice and the democracy that all these countries have fought for their own countries. Today they find no courage to fight for that in other countries and in other people who are today traumatized, colonized, and brutalized. And being somebody who has been in prison, tortured, interrogated over many, many sessions, hours of interrogation, I have found, having been in prison in Tibet, in Lhasa, that those who torture us are colonized, not us. That they are controlled, not us. So therefore, we have always maintained that freedom, and it is that freedom that gives us, which is the basic spirit of the Tibetan people, that is giving us the sustenance of survival. It's just ridiculous to rule over nomads, farmers, monks, nuns, people who sell shoes and sheepskin clothes. These are being ruled over by some of the most sophisticatedly trained combat riot gear soldiers. I do not know how this is going to end, how this is going to dissolve. But problem in Tibet is not just Tibetan problem. It's all over China. All across China, in all the occupied countries like East Pakistan, Southern Mongolia, and mainly within China. People are so unhappy, so oppressed, that people are so oppressed that there is a culture of oppression that people never speak, never discuss. They just internalize their pain and the suffering, and they just assume that this is the way it is, and this will be how this will always be. Because they have never seen and imagined the way we live in the outside world.